If you've ever found yourself stuck in your own head, replaying every mistake, every what if, and every possible outcome, this video is for you. In a world that encourages constant analysis and perfection, many of us are drowning in overthinking. But the ancient Stoics had a different path, one grounded in clarity, courage, and action. Today, you'll discover 11 hard-earned lessons from Stoic philosophy that will help you break free from mental paralysis and reconnect with your inner compass. You'll learn how to take action decisively, release the need for control, and return to what truly matters, your values, your choices in the present moment. This isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a manual for modern life. Stay with us to the end and unlock the mindset shift that will transform how you live, think, and lead. Your mind doesn't need more noise. It needs direction. Don't let your mind imprison you. Overthinking is the jail you build yourself. There is a place more confining than any physical prison, and it exists inside your own head. Overthinking does not arrive all at once. It builds itself silently, brick by brick, thought by thought, until you are walled in by your own doubts and fears. You replay conversations, imagine scenarios, question your worth, hesitate at every decision. And soon your life becomes something you watch from behind a mental barrier instead of living it. I have lived in that place. I know what it is like to lie awake at night, trying to think your way out of everything, believing that one more thought might finally bring peace. But it never does. It only leads to more noise, more confusion. The pursuit of certainty becomes a trap. You think you're being careful, but you are only building stronger bars around your own freedom. Stoic philosophy does not offer escape. It offers responsibility. It reminds us that the mind is a tool, not a master. The Stoics taught that clarity comes not from endless thinking, but from aligning your thoughts with your values and your actions with your intentions. When you define what truly matters, the noise begins to fade. Ask yourself, what do you stand for? What kind of person do you want to be, regardless of the situation? The answers to those questions are more powerful than any imagined outcome. They become a compass. Without them, overthinking rules. With them, you act with purpose. You do not escape overthinking by finding perfect answers. You escape by stepping into action with clarity and courage. By living according to what you believe, not what you fear. The mind may try to keep you confined, but you are not your thoughts. You are what you choose to do with them. Action is the remedy. Don't analyze yourself into paralysis. We have been taught to value thinking, to plan thoroughly, to weigh every option before making a move. But no one tells you that too much thinking can become a trap. The mind, in its attempt to protect you from failure, creates a maze of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. You think you are preparing, but you are delaying. You are convincing yourself that more time, more research, more analysis will make things perfect. It never does. In my early years, I had a business idea that filled me with excitement. I sketched it out, studied the market, drafted detailed plans. Months passed, then years. I became obsessed with making it flawless. I feared launching something imperfect. And when I was finally ready, the opportunity had vanished. The moment had passed. I had missed it not because I lacked skill or passion, but because I thought too much and acted too little. The Stoics warned us of this trap. Seneca wrote that while we are postponing life speeds by action, no matter how small, moves us forward. Overthinking freezes us in place. But life does not wait. The longer we hesitate, the more we become strangers to our own goals. You do not need a perfect plan. You need motion. Action brings clarity that thinking alone never can. Each step you take teaches you more than 100 hours of planning. Mistakes are not the enemy. They are feedback. They are progress in disguise. Ask yourself one question when you feel stuck. What is one small thing I can do right now? Not later, not when everything is ready. Now, send the message, make the call, open the file. Momentum is built one honest step at a time. Courage is not about being ready. It is about acting even when you are not. Thought without action is potential wasted. But action, even imperfect, brings you closer to the life you are meant to live. You are not the center of the universe, and that is your liberation. There was a time when I believed every mistake I made was under a spotlight, that every word I said was being remembered, judged, and weighed by everyone around me. I moved carefully, too carefully, afraid to stumble, in front of eyes I imagined were always watching. It was exhausting, and it was a lie. The truth is, most people are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves just like you are. The world is not staring at your flaws. It is too busy wrestling with its own. This realization is not meant to diminish your importance, but to free you from a burden you were never meant to carry. We live in a culture that praises uniqueness, that tells us we are special and destined to stand out. But this message, when taken too far, becomes a curse. You start to believe that everything you do must be exceptional, that every decision is monumental, that every failure is devastating. It is not. It never was. The Stoics understood the danger of self-importance. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, reminded himself daily that he was just a man. He wrote that we should care more about living in accordance with our nature than about being admired. When you stop trying to impress the world, you begin to return to yourself. You are one among billions. That fact can feel small, but it is also empowering. It means you can let go of the pressure to be perfect. It means you are allowed to try, to fail, to learn, and to grow without a constant audience. It means you can make decisions based on what you value, not what you fear others will say. Humility is not weakness, it is clarity. When you let go of the illusion that everyone is watching you, gain the freedom to act. You no longer perform, you live. You stop asking for permission to be yourself. And in doing so, you become more yourself than ever. Comparison kills joy. Focus on your own path. We live in a world where it is easier than ever to compare yourself to others. You open your phone and see someone else achieving what you want, looking how you want, living the life you think you should have. Every scroll becomes a reminder of where you are not. And slowly, without noticing, you begin to measure your worth against someone else's highlight reel. This is where overthinking thrives. You start questioning your choices, your progress, your value. You think you are behind. You think something is wrong with you. But what you forget is that every journey is different. What you see is never the full story. I spent years comparing myself to others, friends who seemed more successful, strangers who looked more confident, people who had what I thought I lacked. It created a constant pressure to keep up, to match an invisible standard. And it robbed me of any joy I could have felt about my own growth. The Stoics remind us to focus on what is within our control. That includes our attention. When you constantly look sideways, you lose sight of your direction. But when you look inward, you remember your values, your goals, and your reasons for starting. You cannot control someone else's success, but you can control how you respond to it. You can choose to feel envy or to feel inspiration. You can use it to push yourself forward, not pull yourself down. Real peace comes from knowing you are walking your own path at your own pace. Celebrate small steps. Acknowledge your progress. Be honest about your efforts. The more you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, the less space there is for comparison. And in that space, joy returns. Perfection is an illusion. Embracing flaws is the beginning of freedom. We grow up believing that perfection is the goal, that if we just try hard enough, polish every detail, fix every flaw, we will finally be enough. We will finally be worthy. But this pursuit is endless because perfection is not real. It is a moving target that keeps us trapped in self-doubt and constant anxiety. I spent years trying to be perfect. In my work, my relationships, even in the way I presented myself to the world, I was afraid of being seen as weak, of making mistakes, of not measuring up. So I hid my flaws. I avoided risks. I hesitated to try unless I could guarantee success. But nothing in nature is perfect. Not the mountains, not the sky, not even the human heart. Everything meaningful carries its own imperfections, and that is what makes it beautiful. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca reminded us that we are born incomplete so that we have room to grow. Imperfection is not a defect. It is the path to mastery. When you embrace your flaws, you stop wasting energy on pretending. You begin to use that energy to build, to create, to connect. You start living more honestly. You become more human, more grounded, more free. Letting go of perfection does not mean settling. It means accepting reality. It means choosing progress over performance, growth over image, substance over surface. You allow yourself to begin before you are ready. You act not to impress, but to improve. Freedom begins when you stop needing to be flawless. It begins when you realize that your imperfections are not obstacles. They are your teachers. They shape you, refine you, and prepare you for the life that is truly yours. Emotions are traitors, don't let them lead you. Emotions are natural. They rise and fall like tides. But when you begin to trust them blindly, they become dangerous. Fear tells you to run before anything threatens you. Anger tells you to strike before you understand. Sadness convinces you that nothing will ever change. Emotions speak loudly, but they do not always speak the truth. For years, I believed that my emotions were signals I had to obey. If I felt afraid, I avoided. If I felt hurt, I withdrew. I thought these feelings were facts, but they were only interpretations. They were guesses my mind made based on habit, memory, and fear. And most of the time, they were wrong. The Stoics never denied emotions. They understood that feelings happen. What they taught was discipline, that we should not be ruled by emotions, but rule over them with reason. Epictetus said that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This is the key to inner strength. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel anger and still respond with patience. You can feel doubt and still choose to act with purpose. Emotions do not define you unless you let them. So how do you reclaim control? By pausing, by asking questions. What is this emotion trying to tell me? Is it based on truth or on fear? What can I control in this moment? The moment you ask, you break the spell. You move from reaction to reflection. You are not at war with your emotions, but you must not serve them either. Feel them, notice them, then lead yourself through them. Let your values make your choices, not your impulses. This is the path to clarity. This is how you build inner freedom. You can only do your part. Let go of the outcome. We are taught to measure ourselves by results. Success is defined by what we achieve, how others respond, and whether things go the way we hoped. But this mindset traps us. It makes us believe that unless we reach a certain outcome, our effort has no value. That unless things turn out well, we have failed. I lived like that for a long time. Every goal became a test of my worth. If I succeeded, I felt proud. If I didn't, I felt broken. I thought the outcome was everything. But life is unpredictable. So much lies beyond our control. And when you tie your peace to results, you give that peace away. The Stoics offered a different way. They taught that we should focus only on what is within our power, our effort, our intention, our values. Epictetus reminded us to act well and let the rest unfold as it will. It is not indifference, it is wisdom. When you shift your focus from outcome to effort, everything changes. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing failure. You begin to ask better questions. Did I act with integrity? Did I give my best? Did I stay true to what I value? These are the questions that bring clarity and strength. Results may come or not, but effort is always yours. That is where your control lies. That is where your growth happens. Let go of the outcome, not because it doesn't matter, but because it is not yours to hold. What belongs to you is the work, the honesty, the consistency. Give your best to the moment in front of you and trust that the rest will unfold as it should. Peace comes not from knowing how things will end, but from knowing you did your part fully and faithfully. That is enough. All you have is this moment. Don't miss the present. The past is over. The future is unknown. But the present is here asking for your attention. And yet most of us are not really here. We are lost in memories or drifting through fears of what might come next. We replay what cannot be changed. We imagine what we cannot control, and in doing so, we miss the only place life truly happens. I used to live everywhere but the present. My thoughts were either pulling me back into regret or pushing me forward into worry. Even in moments of peace, my mind created storms. It took me years to understand that presence is not automatic. It is a discipline. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to confine his mind to what is happening now, to not let it wander, to return again and again to the task in front of him. Not because the moment is perfect, but because it is real, and it is the only one that belongs to us. When you learn to stay with the present, things begin to shift. You notice more, you listen more fully. You act with greater care. You begin to live instead of rushing through life. You build clarity, patience, and peace. And most importantly, you become the kind of person who is awake to life. So ask yourself, where are you right now? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. Are you here in this moment, or are you somewhere else? Come back, breathe, look around. This moment, however imperfect, is real. It is yours, and what you choose to do with it will shape the next. Life is not waiting in some distant future. It is right here asking to be lived. Do not miss it. Live mindfully every day. Walk the Stoic path. To live with intention is to live awake. Yet most people sleepwalk through their lives. They react instead of reflect. They chase instead of choose. Their days are dictated by habit, fear, or what others expect. And then they wonder why they feel lost, anxious, or disconnected. The Stoics believed that philosophy was not something you read, but something you live. It is not for the classroom. It is for your mornings, your decisions, your relationships, your failures. Stoicism is not about being emotionless or distant. It is about being deeply present and profoundly honest with yourself. To walk the Stoic path means you take ownership of your choices. You do not wait for motivation. You do not blame the world. You ask yourself daily, what is in my control and what is not? What does it mean to live with courage, justice, discipline, and wisdom today? This is not an easy path, but it is a clear one. It invites you to live by your values, not by your moods. It challenges you to pause before reacting, to listen instead of assume, to act not from fear but from principle. Every morning is a new chance. Every challenge is a test. Every small moment is an opportunity to practice. When you live mindfully, you begin to build inner strength. You stop being dragged by life and start walking through it with clarity. So live with eyes open, speak with purpose, act with virtue. The world may remain chaotic, but you do not have to be. Your path is yours to walk. And the discipline of daily awareness is what makes it meaningful. No one controls you except yourself. There is a quiet strength that comes from knowing your mind belongs to you, not to circumstances, not to others, not to the noise of the world. The Stoics believe that true freedom is internal, that while no one can guarantee external safety or comfort, we always have the power to govern our thoughts, our choices, and our responses. For a long time, I gave away that power. I let other people's opinions shape how I saw myself. I let outcomes decide if I was enough. I blamed events, luck, even time. It was easier than facing the truth that I was responsible for how I lived. But blaming is a form of surrender. When you say someone else controls your happiness, you give them the keys to your mind. You make yourself a prisoner of what you cannot control. And that is not freedom. That is fear in disguise. To reclaim your freedom is not to control everything. It is to master your inner world. It is to pause before reacting, to choose values over impulses, to stay grounded when everything feels uncertain. It is to remember that your dignity does not come from success or approval, but from how you carry yourself in the face of challenge. This does not mean you are untouched by the world, but it means you are not owned by it. The Stoics knew that life is unpredictable. People are flawed and outcomes are unstable. Still, they taught that we can always choose our response. No one controls your effort. No one controls your character. No one controls the direction of your will. These are yours, and in them lies your freedom. Protect it. Live by it. Because the more you take ownership of yourself, the less the world can take from you. Decide with clarity. Live without retreat. Every day, life presents us with decisions, some small, some defining, and yet many of us hesitate. We delay. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect certainty, the perfect outcome. But clarity does not come from waiting. It comes from choosing. The Stoics believe that indecision is a form of weakness, that the wise person moves forward not because they are sure of success, but because they are sure of their values. They do not ask what is safest or most admired. They ask what is right. I used to be paralyzed by choices. I would weigh every angle, fearing regret. I thought there was one perfect path, and that every mistake would haunt me. But life is not a straight road. It is a series of crossroads, and each one teaches you something new. Clarity is not about knowing the future. It is about knowing yourself. When you know what you stand for, decisions become simpler. You stop asking what others would do. You stop living in fear of being wrong. You begin to trust that the path you choose can be walked with integrity. The world may push you to second guess, but the Stoic path asks you to act with intention, to accept the unknown, to move forward anyway, even when the outcome is unclear, even when others do not understand. To live without retreat does not mean charging blindly. It means standing firm once you have chosen. It means not abandoning yourself when things get hard. It means holding to your principles even when the path gets rough. Decide with clarity, not because you are promised success, but because you are committed to living fully, honestly, and with courage. That is what it means to lead your life, not follow it. The Stoic journey is yours to walk. You have reached the end of these lessons, but this is not the end of the path. In fact, it is only the beginning. The wisdom of Stoicism is not meant to be admired from a distance. It is meant to be lived day by day, moment by moment. It asks you not to be perfect, but to be present. Not to have all the answers, but to keep asking better questions. Overthinking, fear, comparison, perfectionism. These are not enemies to be destroyed, but signals to be understood. They show you where you are still holding on, where you are still afraid to step forward. And now you have the tools to meet them with clarity, discipline, and courage. This journey is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to who you are beneath the noise, the calm center, the steady will, the inner freedom that cannot be taken, only claimed. So carry these teachings with you, not as a shield, but as a compass. Use them when life becomes loud, when choices feel uncertain, when emotions try to lead you astray. Come back to the path. Come back to yourself. You do not need to control the world. You only need to master how you walk through it.